Thomas and friends, making tracks to great destinations.
Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them, because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy.
The island of Sodor is surrounded by beautiful blue sea. It has fields of green and sandy yellow beaches. There are rivers, streams, and lots of trees where the birds sing. There are windmills and a coal mine, and docks where visitors to the island arrive. The island also has lots and lots of railway lines. Who's that puffing down the track? It's Thomas! Hello, Thomas! Hello, everybody! Welcome to the island of Sodor. Today on the island of Sodor, we find out what happens when and we watch But first,
Edward was getting old. His bearings were worn and he clanked as he puffed along. He was taking empty cattle cars to a market town. The sun shone, birds sang. But Edward was heading for trouble. Come on, he puffed. Oh, oh, screamed the cars. Edward puffed and clanked, the cars rattled and screamed. Some cows were grazing nearby. They were not used to trains. The noise and smoke disturbed them. As Edward clanked by, they broke through the fence and ran across the line. A coupling was broken and some cars were left behind. Edward felt a jerk, but didn't take much notice. He was used to cattle cars. Bother those cars, he thought. Why can't they come quietly? He was at the next station before either he or his driver realized what had happened. When Gordon and Henry heard about the accident, they laughed and boasted. Fancy allowing cows to break your train. They wouldn't dare do that to us. We'd show them. Old Toby was cross. You couldn't help it, Edward. They've never met cows. I have, and I know the trouble they are. Some days later, Gordon rushed through Edward's station. Boop, boop! Mind the cows! Hurry, hurry, puffed Gordon. Don't make such a fuss! Don't make such a fuss, grumbled his coaches. A long stretch of line lay ahead. In the distance was a bridge. It seemed to Gordon that there was something on the bridge. His driver thought so too. "Whoa, Gordon," he said and shut off steam. "Whew," said Gordon. "It's only a cow." "Shoo! Shoo!" He moved slowly onto the bridge, but the cow wouldn't shoo. She had lost her calf and felt lonely. "Bleh," she said sadly. Everyone tried to send her away, but she wouldn't go. Henry arrived. "What's this? A cow? I'll soon settle her. Be off! Be off!" "Bleh." Henry backed away nervously. "I don't want to hurt her." At the next station, Henry's conductor told them about the cow and warned the signalman that the line was blocked. "That must be Bluebell," said the porter. "Her calf is here, looking for her mother. Percy will take her along." At the bridge, Bluebell was very pleased to see her calf again, and the porter led them away. "Not a word. Keep it secret," whispered Gordon and Henry to each other. They felt rather silly, but the story soon spread. "Well, well, well," chuckled Edward. "Two big engines afraid of a cow." "Afraid? Rubbish," said Gordon. "We didn't want the poor thing to hurt herself by running up against us. We stopped so as not to excite her. You see what I mean, my dear Edward?" "Yes, Gordon," said Edward. Gordon felt somehow that Edward saw only too well.
Every engine on the island of Sodor looks different. Can you tell who this is? This engine is dark green. It's only got a small roof on the cab. But it's got a very tall funnel. Do you know who it is yet? Here's another clue. This engine's got very big wheels. There's only one engine on Sodor who has wheels like that. Do you know who it is? Yes, it's Emily. Hello, Emily.
Trevor the traction engine enjoyed living in the vicarage orchard. Edward came to see him every day, but sometimes Trevor didn't have enough work to do.
I do like to keep busy all the time,
He sighed one day.
and I do like company, especially children's company.
Cheer up, smiled Edward. Sir Topham Hatt has work for you at his new harbor. I'm to take you to meet Thomas today.
Oh, exclaimed Trevor happily. A harbor, the seaside, children, that will be lovely.
Thomas was on his way to the harbor with a trainload of metal pilings. They were needed to make the harbor wall firm and safe. Hello, Thomas, said Edward. This is Trevor, a friend of mine. He's a traction engine. Thomas eyed the newcomer doubtfully.
A what engine? A traction engine,
Explained Trevor.
I run on roads instead of rails. Can you take me to the harbor, please? Sir Topham Hatt has a job for me.
Yes, of course, replied Thomas, but he was still puzzled. Workmen coupled Trevor's car to Thomas's train, and soon they were ready to start their journey.
I'm glad Sir Topham Hatt needs me,
Called Trevor.
I don't have enough to do sometimes, you know, although I can work anywhere, in orchards, on farms, in scrapyards, even at harbors.
But you don't run on rails, puffed Thomas.
I'm a traction engine. I don't need rails to be useful,
Replied Trevor.
You wait and see.
When they reached the harbor, they found everything in confusion. Cars had been derailed, blocking the line, and stone slabs lay everywhere. We must get these pilings past, said Thomas's driver. They are essential. Trevor, we need you to drag them round this mess.
Just the sort of job I like,
Replied Trevor.
Now you'll see, Thomas. I'll soon show you what traction engines can do.
Trevor was as good as his word. He dragged the pilings clear with chains and towed them into position.
Who needs rails?
He muttered cheerfully to himself. Later, Thomas brought Annie and Clarabelle to visit him. Thomas was most impressed. Now I understand how useful a traction engine can be. The coaches were full of children. Trevor gave them rides along the harbor. He liked this best of all. He's very kind, said Annie. He reminds me of Thomas, added Clarabelle. Everyone was sorry when it was time for Trevor to go. Thomas pulled him to the junction. A small tear came into Trevor's eye. Thomas pretended not to see. He whistled gaily to make Trevor happy. I'll come and see you if I can, he promised. The vicar will look after you, and there's plenty of work for you now at the orchard, but we may need you again at the harbor someday.
That would be wonderful,
said Trevor. That evening, Trevor stood remembering his new friend Thomas, the harbor, and most of all, the children. Then he went happily to sleep in the shed at the bottom of the orchard.
Thomas, Toby, and James need to collect their loads, but they don't know which load they will be pulling. There's a truck full of coal, there's a carriage for pulling passengers, and there's some crates full of bananas. Let's help the engines find out what they will be pulling today. Can you guess which truck Toby will be pulling? Let's find out. The track is very twisty. Toby chuffs around the corners. I wonder what Toby will be pulling today. It looks like the coal truck. Toby's taking coal today. Who's next? James. Which truck will James be pulling? James is chuffing and puffing, twisting and turning. Can you guess which truck James will be pulling? James has got the carriage. He must be pulling passengers today. Now it's Thomas's turn. You can guess which truck Thomas is going to pull, can't you? Here he goes. Nearly there? Yes, that's right. Thomas is taking the bananas. All the engines have found their trucks. Well done, Toby. Well done, James. And well done, Thomas.
All aboard and close the doors. Whistle blows and the engine roars. Spinning wheels beginning to rip. These are the sounds as we start our trip. Rattling rails and cheerful chuffs, clattering carriages, huffs and puffs, with a whist on the whistle and a whish on the brakes. These are the sounds that the engines make. Chugga chugga, chugga chugga, chugga chugga. These are the sounds that the engines make. Happy hoots as the fields rush by, shoveling coal how the time does fly. Proudly race full steam ahead, screeching brakes when the lights go red. A wish of steam and clanking joints, shuddering doors and clattering points, with a whist on the whistle and a whish on the brakes. These are the sounds that the engines make. Chugga chugga, chugga chugga, chugga chugga. These are the sounds that the engines make. Chugga chugga, chugga chugga, chugga chugga. These are the sounds that the engines make.
Percy worked hard at the new harbor. The workmen needed stone for their building. Toby helped, but sometimes the loads of stone were too heavy, and Percy had to fetch them for himself. Sometimes he'd see Thomas. Well done, Percy. Sir Topham Hatt is very pleased with us. An airfield was close by. Percy heard the airplanes zooming overhead all day. The noisiest of all was a helicopter. Silly thing, said Percy. Why can't it go and buzz somewhere else? One day, Percy stopped at the airfield. Hello, said Percy. Who are you? I'm Harold. Who are you? I'm Percy. What whirly great arms you've got. They're nice arms, said Harold. I can hover like a bird. Don't you wish you could hover? Certainly not. I like my rails, thank you. I think railways are slow, said Harold. They're not much use and quite out of date. He whirled his arms and buzzed away. Percy found Toby at the quarry. I say, Toby, that Harold, that stuck-up whirlybird thing, says I'm slow and out of date. Just let him wait. I'll show him. He collected his freight cars and started off, still fuming. Soon they heard a familiar buzzing. Percy, whispered his driver. There's Harold. He's not far ahead. Let's race him. Yes, let's, said Percy. Percy pounded along. The cars screamed and swayed. Well, I'll be a ding-dong-dang, said the driver. There was Harold. The race was on. Go it, Percy, he yelled. You're gaining. Percy had never been allowed to run fast before. He was having the time of his life. Hurry, 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 he panted to the cars. We don't want to, we don't want to, they grumbled. It was no use. Percy was bucketing along with flying wheels and Harold was high and alongside. The fireman shoveled for dear life. Well done, Percy, shouted the driver. We're gaining. We're going ahead. Oh, good boy, good boy. A distant signal warned them that the harbor wharf was near. Beep, beep, beep. Brakes, conductor, please. The driver carefully checked the train's headlong speed. They rolled under the main line and halted on the wharf. Oh dear, groaned Percy. I'm sure we've lost. The fireman scrambled to the cab roof. We've won! We've won! He shouted. Harold's still hovering. He's looking for a place to land. Listen, boys, the fireman called. Here's a song for Percy. Said Harold the helicopter to our Percy, you are slow. Your railway is out of date and not much use, you know. But Percy and his stone cars did the trip in record time, and we beat the helicopter on our old branch line. Percy loved it. Oh, thank you, he said. He liked the last line best of all, and was a very happy engine.
He's a cheeky one. James. His fame, but lots of fun. Percy. Pulls a mail on time.